Okay, so it's 4:40 and I'll call this meeting to order on Wednesday, June 1st of the Arpa Needs Assessment Committee. First item on the agenda after calling to order is to amend if necessary and then accept the agenda. Does anyone have any amendments to make to the agenda? Okay, so if not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda. Thanks, Barbara. And thanks, Glenn. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the May 25th regular meeting. I have two slight amendments. The first is that under item number 3, our meeting actually happened on the 18th, and that was a carryover from there was a missed date 2 weeks ago, and so then this got on wrong. So anyway, I corrected it to 18, if that's all right.
The last meeting.
Yes. So looking at the minutes,
It said May 17th.
it said May 17th. So now it says 18th. Not a big deal. And then the second thing is, under the item where I read Bonnie Donzella's letter into the record, I thought that it probably made sense to include that letter, which I read in the minutes. So
Yeah,
I
I
just
thought
cut and
that.
pasted it. So it's all in there now. Any other amendments? Okay, and if there are none, then I'll entertain a motion to accept. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Glenn. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And seeing none, that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Let the record please reflect that Lynn Worthington is here with us today. Lynn, would you like to make a comment?
I do.
Okay.
I know you guys have been fantastic about posting your Zoom recordings, but the minutes are lacking. I don't know if there's some step that's not happening where they're getting posted online, but you're missing 6 since the beginning of this year: May 11th, May 4th, April 27th, April 20th, March 30th, and March 23rd. And I think it's still required by the law that you post minutes, even if you've got the Zoom recording.
Thanks. Can you list out those dates again?
Sure. Yeah.
May 11th, May 4th, April 27th.
April 20th, March 30th, and March 23rd.
Okay, I think that this is what's happened. Patricia does do minutes for every single meeting. We've approved minutes at every single meeting. The minutes exist. When she sends them out, they don't always go to Darlene. I usually forward them to Darlene, but I'm not sure I always picked up on that. And so I'll go back because we have them.
Okay, I figured you did.
Yeah. Okay, anything further? Okay, thank you. Thanks for the dates too. That's very helpful.
May 11th, May 4th, April 27th, April
20th, March 30th, and March 23rd. And I will go back and find them and send them to Darlene for posting. Okay, the next item on the agenda is correspondence. We did not receive any correspondence since last week. So we can move right into the old business and the primary discussion for tonight. The first thing, 6A, is on the report. There's very little, I believe, to check in on the report. We've been through all of the sections in great detail. We made some tweaks at the last meeting. Those changes have been input. I don't know if anyone's got any further changes or, if any of the changes were missed. If you had a chance to look at it before we convene today and have any last items.
Just to repeat what I said before the meeting was started the recording, I did update that last statement on the statement by the committee, the last page. I added a comma somewhere in here, I remember, and I formatted, I think, 2 pages and made them black. But other than that,
So is everyone okay with the final sentence,
Well-
which I'll remove the yellow highlighting from?
Okay, that last sentence, that last statement there, I think that could be worded much better. And I mean, it comes across as almost like a plea to the selectmen that we have done a lot of work and that we're urging you to approve our recommendations. I think we could word that much better.
So Joe, taking into account the entire section, beginning with statement by the committee, how would you propose making that statement stronger?
Okay, I looked over the whole, that whole half page there. I'm fine with, with how it starts out and listing, how we approached going about our recommendations. But as far as that, the sentence that's that's highlighted there, I'd like to see that replaced with something else.
That
Pardon?
does a better job of,
Yeah, then communicating, what our purpose is, how we view our recommendations being brought to the Board of Selectmen.
that's what you would like it to say.
Yes, I would like to replace that with something else.
With what?
Actually, I've written some, because I went through like the whole document, the rest of the document sounds fine. We've all agreed on that, but I did come up with something. And I put down, the ARPA committee submits these recommendations for the Board of Selectmen's endorsement. This report serves as an advisory document for processing and dispensing of the federal U.S. Treasury recovery funds of, then I listed $821,854,000.76, period. 2 sentences. And I also came up with a second one, and that one is as follows. The ARPA committee has done a comprehensive study as to how the pandemic affected the Kent community. From disasters, oftentimes opportunities present themselves. This report serves as an advisory document to the Board of Selectmen. It is an even-handed response for dispensing and processing of the $824,076 in Kent's share of the U.S. Treasury recovery funds. 2 options. I mean, how do the others feel about those?
I gotta say, I don't mind either of them. I think they're all fine. The one thing that I like about the closing sentence that is in there now is it's a little nudgy. And, basically sets that expectation that, so like, and I think people take words different ways. So, I would see advisory as a reason maybe not to, what we really want
Mhm.
is for the Board of Selectmen to look at it and go, yep, That's what we want to do. Right, so that is where that word expectation came from, but I do remember having a conversation about an expectation maybe meaning something different to different people. And so that's, I don't know, that is all I'm thinking. But the lead in that you wrote, either of those paragraphs, both sound fine to me.
See, when I looked at that, to me, the impression that I got from reading that is that, I mean, a lot of what's listed there, it just goes without saying that that was our purpose. This is what we've done. I kind of elaborated on that sentence.
Okay, others.
I agree with what you said, and I like both of his sentences with the exception of that one word advisory, because personally, I would like to see it be stronger.
I agree.
It's not just advisory in my theory, but again, I think people associate different things with different connotations with
I
words.
think the line, approve the recommendations we have made in totality or in majority part, which is missing.
Add it to Joe's.
Yeah, is a strong last phrase,
Mhm.
because it says exactly what we want them to do.
Right.
So I would leave that. And I think that we have already talked about that this is not an advisory committee, but in the introduction, we sort of set out what our goals as a committee was. So that seems redundant a bit.
Well, so it's, really what we're doing here is just having, it's a last sentence, which should be a good sentence, but what did we like? Version number 1 or version number 2?
Read them again.
Yeah, maybe.
The first one that I read goes as this. The ARPA committee submits these recommendations for the Board of Selectmen's endorsement. This report serves as an advisory document for processing and dispensing of the federal U.S. Treasury recovery funds of, and I listed the amount of $821,854, period. It's shorter than the other one. The other one is, a little more wordy and a little more, I won't say abstract, but it's a little bit, a little bit more than, this first one is just 2 sentences and it kind of sums everything up.
What if we went with the second,
Should I read that one again?
if you don't mind?
Sure. The ARPA committee has done a comprehensive study as to how the pandemic affected Kent's community. From disasters, oftentimes opportunities present themselves. This report serves as an advisory document to the Board of Selectmen. It is an even-handed response for dispensing and processing of the $821,854 in Kent's share of the U.S. Treasury recovery funds. I mean, if the exact amount should be taken out, then maybe it should be taken out, but I listed the exact amount to kind of focus on that, to zero in on that.
The exact amount is in one of the bullets,
It is,
so it's kind of.
but it kind of like reinforces the amount that we have worked with to,
So can you read the second one again and just take out that middle section where you say this document serves as an
Sure.
advisory? Just read the whole thing without that. piece.
Yeah, maybe sub in, this report provides the methodology
uh,
instead of serves as advisory.
Yeah,
um,
that's better.
Yeah, I like that.
okay, the ARPA committee has done a comprehensive study as to how the pandemic affected Kent's community. From disasters, oftentimes opportunities present themselves. It is an even-handed response for dispensing and processing of the $821,854 in Kent's share of the U.S. Treasury recovery funds. That part is omitting.
Mhm,
This report
mhm,
can
mhm,
serve as an advisory document to the Board of Selectmen.
mhm.
That's without that sentence
Okay.
included.
So what if we had that first sentence, and then the second sentence about from disasters? And then rather than, take that last sentence of this serves as an advisory, this report provides the methodology for processing and dispensing Kent's allocation of US Treasury funds, recovery funds. I didn't get the whole thing. But, that way the last sentence is this report is their methodology, without, this is not, advice, this is not, it's not good enough for you.
How do
No,
we add that
absolutely
last
not.
bit?
Okay, wait. We need in totality or in part, but. Yeah. I really, I don't want to get hung up on this. I think we're so close and it doesn't really matter that much. So I don't know how we're gonna come to a conclusion, but
Why don't we just put that in front of this and leave this?
we do that, Joe? Do we have them both?
Um,
I think, just
Well,
so we can end.
yeah, no, I know. The thing is that we are all signing this. We're all signing our names to the document.
Mhm.
And, you want this to carry as much weight as possible.
Right, that's why I'm suggesting that we put the wording that Connie just read in front of this and leave this here.
So then, let's see now. So then, okay, so it would read then, the ARPA committee submits these recommendations for the Board of Selectmen's endorsement.
No, it's your second
Oh,
one.
the second one,
Yeah,
okay.
without that middle section, Connie
Okay.
wordsmith the middle section.
So then, it would read, the ARPA committee has done a comprehensive study as to how the pandemic affected Kent's community.
That's not grammatically correct.
How so?
Comprehensive study as to how it's a study of something, not as to.
It's okay.
So how would that?
Just leave
how
it.
would you-
Let's
how would
just
you
leave
phrase
it.
that?
Study of.
The ARPA committee has done a comprehensive study of the how the pandemic affected Kent's community.
Yeah, that'll.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from disasters, oftentimes opportunities present themselves. It is this, wait a minute, let's see here.
Well, that's where we insert
This
Connie's.
report provides the methodology. I'm not sure what even-handed means.
Well, even-handed was, we've came up with recommendations that kind of covered a lot of different
It's the
areas.
same as the bullet fair and balanced.
Okay.
Even-
This report provides an even-handed methodology for processing and dispensing Kent's allocation of US Treasury recovery funds.
Right, and just put that on top of this.
And then it is the committee's sincere expectation that the Board of Selectmen recognize the value in our efforts, the fairness in our recommendations, and improve the recommendations we've made in totality or in majority part.
Because I felt as if you should include something about the processing, because there was,
I
a
put
lot of time
processing
spent.
in there. I just switched the order so that processing becomes before dispensing, because you process before you dispense.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that processing, because there were a lot of time was spent with the, application process and so forth, to carrying out, administering.
So are we good?
Yeah, I
One
think
little
that's
thing.
better.
Okay.
Sorry, but that line isn't often opportunities arrive out of tragedy or whatever.
Mhm.
That like comes out of nowhere and has no relevance to the sentence before or the sentence after. So
It's just a
maybe
thought.
it yeah, it's just a arbitrary thought put in there. Maybe it needs something else to explain why it's there. Like in this report, we've tried to identify opportunities, or in other words, pay the line off. If you're gonna put it in there, it
Yeah.
needs some sort of segue or payoff. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Well, I was thinking in terms of like, like what you had mentioned in one of the other meetings about the silver lining type of
Yeah,
thing. This is another thought that kind
Yeah.
of touches on that, it's not to distract from anything. It's just, a thought
Right,
that they,
right.
rather than just have a dry, document or whatever, there's a little bit of, that kind of stuff,
Any ideas?
I'd have to look at it for a few minutes before I could figure out how to add to it.
Yeah, this is becoming complicated.
But you know what?
In front of me.
If we don't do it right now, then we're gonna
Right,
need another
right.
meeting, which I'd rather not do. So either we
Read
come
it
up with
again, Connie,
something,
as you've written
Yeah.
it slowly, so.
So we can
okay,
come up with something inspirational. to show.
or we take it out. The ARPA committee has done a comprehensive study of how the pandemic affected Kent's community. From disasters, oftentimes opportunities present themselves. This report provides an even-handed methodology for processing and dispensing Kent's allocation of U.S. Treasury recovery funds. It is the committee's sincere expectation that the Board of Selectmen recognize the value in our efforts, the fairness in our recommendations, and approve the recommendations we've made in totality or in majority part.
It's just the first part. It's the first little bit. Could you read that one more time? Not the whole thing, but just that very first part.
The ARPA committee has done a comprehensive study of how the pandemic affected Kent's community. From disasters, oftentimes opportunities present themselves.
Could we get rid of from? And that line right there? Do we need?
From
that?
disasters, oftentimes opportunities present themselves. Take it
So
out
do we need that one?
or add a second sentence.
I don't
That's
think
the
we need-
choice.
I don't think we need it.
I would agree. Take it out.
Joe,
I think it should stay. Yeah, because it's kind of like,
then you have to make up a sentence that comes after it right now. Seriously. We either take it out or we do another sentence, and I
How
have,
about something like?
I don't even
This
vote.
report addresses both.
The fallout and the silver lining, something like that.
Something like that.
I'm feeling that in my teeth.
The fallout.
This report attempts to
From the
address
pandemic.
both the,
The
harm,
consequence, the consequence of the
the
pandemic.
consequences and the silver lining, or something like that.
How about just the opportunities or those
Yeah,
opportunities?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, you're correct.
Yeah, I don't like
Yes.
silver lining.
well, see, like, to me, it's, you're putting a positive, you're showing a positive that has happened in this whole pandemic stuff. That was why I put something like, to elaborate
To
on that,
me-
sure, you probably could elaborate on that.
to me, having that second sentence shows that we're cognizant that we're doing both. We are repairing and restoring in our first three categories, and we are taking advantage of opportunities to make our town better.
Yeah,
Sure, I mean,
that works. I think that works now.
Okay, do I need to read it again?
Yes, read it.
Okay,
Last
here
time,
we go.
Last time.
The ARPA committee has done a comprehensive study of how the pandemic affected Kent's community. From disasters, oftentimes opportunities present themselves. This report attempts to address both the consequences of the pandemic and the opportunities. I need something. And those opportunities, or do you want to say the opportunities to and opportunities to improve our town? Just leave it at that.
And
Okay.
opportunities to improve our town.
And opportunities to improve our town.
I think that works.
This report provides an even-handed methodology for processing and dispensing Kent's allocation of U.S. Treasury recovery funds. It is the committee's sincere expectation that the Board of Selectmen recognize the value in our efforts, the fairness in our recommendations, and approve the recommendations we've made in totality or in majority part.
Yeah. I think something like that, it just gives it gives it more like a positive spin on everything, and that's
Okay.
that's what you want to. I
Winner,
would think.
winner. Okay, great. Anything else in the report that needs tweaking before we move on?
Yeah, I just changed the, instead of by, I just put committee members.
Fine.
You know, and for all that, it didn't come out that far.
No,
It's still
The appendices will
pretty,
make it bigger with the grant.
well, yeah, I
information.
mean, that'll make it a lot bigger, but
so.
I think it's nice and tight.
I agree. Yeah.
I'll make those last edits, add the appendices, PDF it, send it to you so you can take a look and make sure it looks the way that you want it to. If it has all of our signatures, we should figure out how to get all of our signatures in it.
I can put mine on through Adobe, so.
I have that too. We could also try and arrange to have like a DocuSign or something like that.
That's true.
But
Well,
it's,
Adobe, you can send it around for signature, but I don't know how, if you don't have one already in Adobe, I don't know how you bring a signature into it.
Image,
Huh?
an image.
you could
know,
also,
but-
we could also print the signature page, sign it, scan it, send it. Until
Yeah.
it's just 6 of
Yeah.
us. So maybe Barbara, yours and mine will insert and then,
That's fine.
okay.
I can probably do that too, an Adobe signature and send. If not, if I'm gone for the signing, Glenn, you can
Sign for
you can
you.
forge my signature. Okay.
Does it look like scratch strokes for that?
You see my.
I give you full authority to sign my signature.
No, we would just do it in cursive, like, we would just type it in, but in cursive. We wouldn't
But
actually
I'll
forge
see
it.
if I can get Julio to help me create one tonight, and if I send it to you,
Yes,
you'll be
if
able
you
to.
send me a picture, I
insert
can
it.
put it in.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it critical that we all have to sign it? I mean,
Well, it just looks better.
It makes
Actually,
it look,
we can have Joe and Glenn sign pieces of paper tonight and send them
Sure.
home with you, and that way you can just create the
I need to
signatures.
take
and you
the-
can do
I
it.
can do that.
Do you know
too.
how to take the draft line off?
The what?
The draft line?
I do.
Oh, and did you didn't do, yeah, so just, oh, but you know what, we gotta put that sentence in too.
Right. I meant a
Actually,
blank piece of paper. We
Blank
could
piece of
make
paper.
signatures
yeah,
for
good,
them.
okay.
That's a great idea.
Technology. We have the technology.
Can I ask when you guys presenting, supposed to meet with the selectmen on this?
We don't have a date because we
Oh,
did make a date
yeah,
one time
yeah.
before and had to cancel, so it'll be, we hope, something consistent with our Wednesday 4:30 schedule. But we'll have to see, and we'll wait until Patricia gets back. I'm assuming, unless she decides she doesn't want to be.
Thank you.
How long is she gone?
I don't want to get off the subject or anything, but they have that e-signature. What is that? I mean, that, because like when you do your taxes and they say like an e-sign or something like that.
That's
when a
like
thing
from your
pops up
email.
And you do it with your finger on the screen. It gets tough.
Patricia, how long you gone?
8 days.
So just sign anywhere on the piece of paper and then I'll scan
I'm going
it.
to the Biennale, the Venice Art
Perfect.
Biennale.
Oh, wow, neat.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
Okay. Ready to move on? Great. So the last item on our agenda for tonight is to talk about how we're going to present this to the Board of Selectmen. And we already know that we're going to ask them to call a special meeting so that it is just for this and nothing else. I think that it would be good to allow for as much public participation as possible. So I don't know if that makes a difference if we do it in person or if we should just do it all Zoom. I don't remember what the laws are right now,
What do you mean by public participation?
like allowing people to attend.
Okay, I thought you meant comment or get involved. It's like, oh, this could be huge. if We try to do that.
I don't think the Board of Selectmen have in-person meetings, right? They're all on Zoom.
But we do have in-person meetings.
My understanding of the law that passed, what, 3 or 4 weeks ago? Or 4 or 5 weeks ago, is that all town meetings have to be hybrid.
That's not correct.
Isn't that what Darlene and Donna and everyone have been grousing about in
They've been
the,
talking about it, but it's not correct. And I did have a conversation with the town clerk and she agrees with me that is not correct. And she even said, should she print some sort of a retraction to correct that? Because she knows that that information that she was talking about has been widely talked about in the public now, and it's not.
so what
Whether or
is
not
the
it's
actual
required
rule?
though, can it be? Right, because we've been
We can.
proceeding with, we've been holding our meetings in person, but with the expectation that if any members of the public come, they have to come in person. We can, as committee members, attend virtually, but members of the public cannot. So my question is, could we even be in person and invite members of the public to attend by Zoom? Or should we just do
Well,
a
then
Zoom?
that's a hybrid meeting.
Right,
and-
can they, is hybrid permissible?
It
Forget
is.
about required.
It is. It's permissible under the law. All Zoom, hybrid, or all in person are absolutely permissible under the law.
So what is that? Did that law change?
All it did was it took away the sunset provision of the executive order that allowed for hybrid meetings or Zoom meetings.
So it only allows for hybrid meetings, it doesn't require hybrid.
That's right.
meetings. That is a huge difference.
It is, and the only caveat is that if you have, because you just said that we have the Zoom, but it's only for members. But if if a quorum of our members are attending via Zoom, then the Zoom link has to be available to the public.
Right, but even if not, it can be available. to the
That's
public.
right.
Right,
We can have
so
hybrid meetings. yeah.
my personal preference would either be to do an in-person meeting where the Zoom link is shared with the general public who can attend, or to do an all Zoom where the Zoom link is shared with the general public and they can attend. My preference would not to be to have an in-person meeting where the link is not shared with the public. So does anyone have any?
Doesn't matter to me either way.
Since Board of Selectmen meetings have been just Zoom only, would you, do you think it would be, do you think the selectmen would prefer to have all just Zoom?
The selectmen would, I can't speak for the selectmen, but I think since our meetings have been Zoom, I would imagine that they would want to.
So do you want to do it by Zoom?
It's fine with me.
I'm okay with that.
It's fine with me.
We could owl and zoom in everyone else. Gets really
Could
tricky.
we do both? Can like a high,
No, we will, that's what we were just talking about, Joe, is that if the selectmen are used to doing their meetings
oh. that's-
virtually, then maybe
Well, they
just
should call the shot then, I guess.
have it, okay. So, but no matter what, the link to be shared with the public so that they can
Yeah.
attend, okay. Okay. And shall I request a Wednesday at 4:30?
Next Wednesday.
Well, it can't, I hear, that's a question. Let's maybe do, Patricia will be away for 2 Wednesdays, and I'm assuming, Patricia, that you want to be part of this.
I mean, if the only times they could do it are on one of the next 2 Wednesdays.
I'm sure that is not the case. They could do it after.
Well, Don't, the Board of Selectmen, they don't meet, how often do they meet? What, twice a month or something?
2 regular meetings a month. So we have this Thursday at 4, and then we have Thursday the 16th
Well,
at 6:30.
that's that's what, 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, so we have quite a few days that we can play with, and certainly now that school's done for me, I've got plenty of time. I don't.
The
can't speak for the rest of
22nd of June is a Wednesday.
22nd of June is a Wednesday. Does
That works.
that work for you?
That's fine. With me.
I'll ask. 4:30 PM.
So the Board of Selectmen will have had our 2 regular meetings already before then. We could present, and the next time we meet would be the 7th of July.
I'd rather have Patricia be there.
Yes, yes, no, I agree. So 22nd, you can make?
Yeah,
22nd. Okay.
So
Good.
what's that do though to our?
Is that the time to practice?
No, I
Give us.
I just have a question, Barbara, and it's not in front of me.
Wednesday off.
The application forms
Yes,
recommended, or do we have it in here? Recommended that the application be open from, do you remember? Was it July 15th? Because
I
if,
thought we said end of August so you would have plenty of time to
Right.
process them.
right, but what was the start date? Because we
I
know
think
that
we
it
said
wouldn't.
early July, anticipating that this would
yeah,
take.
because it would be
Okay.
6 weeks.
So I think it was July 1st to end
I can
of
go look.
August.
let me
Well,
look.
it won't be July
Let me look.
1st if the select
Let me
board
look.
doesn't, unless they can vote on it within our meeting, which would be wonderful.
We could do that.
Give them the draft early.
Yes, make our
Very good.
presentation short. Allow them to deliberate it.
I think that's possible.
Who makes the agenda?
June.
Shall I talk to her about including that?
Yes.
Okay. So the agenda would include presentation of the report.
So the one on the-
Questions?
the one on our shared drive says June 1st, to August 15th.
That's what I thought.
So that's,
So we're gonna wanna make it July 1 to September.
yeah, September 1.
That would be 8 weeks.
Could be a little shorter, if you want, but
We could still leave it July 1 to August 15th. I don't know.
So
I think September 1 is fairer than the summer. You okay with that?
till September 1.
Yeah,
Yeah,
8 weeks.
so if you get applications like right in July, are you going to wait until after September 1st to process, or we could start dispersing money as of July?
As soon as I have all
whatever.
the documentation that is going to be
Perfect, yeah,
required,
that's great,
I would just do it on a rolling basis.
yeah.
And how is the word going to go out that the applications are,
Probably through the same methods that we used for the survey.
So
The town website, well, the town website and the selectmen's newsletter, whatever Lynn writes up in the paper and.
It can be posted on Kent community
Yeah,
pages.
yeah, we've got
and-
a Kent Facebook page that, I don't know who updates that, but somebody does.
So Barbara, while you were out of the room, we discussed whether, we discussed me talking with Jean to ask her to make the agenda look like presentation of the report, questions, deliberation, so that it's clear that the expectation is that the Board of Selectmen would actually talk about and potentially vote.
Yeah, their normal terminology is discussion and possible action is what they
Yes.
normally
Mhm.
put on.
And then next steps. So if that is okay, if that seems right to Jean and she sets the agenda that way, how can we present this report concisely but thoroughly and take questions and then leave plenty of room for the discussion and the possible action? How would you see this report being presented?
Well, I think it'll be cleaner if we pick one person to present it, and I'm not volunteering because I don't want to, but
Do you think if people presented the parts that they wrote, that would not be disjointed? I mean, I would have a hard time presenting your section, Barbara.
But when I was thinking of presenting, I wasn't thinking of getting into the weeds on the information. It would be more of a synopsis. So this section consists of 3 parts. It's broken up into whatever it's broken up into. Personally, I think the presentation can be very fast because the expectation I have is that they're going to get this a week in advance and they're going to read it, hopefully. So the presentation doesn't need to be a regurgitation of all of the information in it.
Okay,
It can just be a very broad overview of what's in the report, how many pages it is.
what do you think?
That's what I think.
Yeah,
I don't think we have to sit there and outline every recommendation.
They'll have more questions. I mean, I think the questioning period will be longer
Mhm,
than what we introduce.
mhm.
so do we also need to send this out or send a notice to the public saying this recommendations will be in the folder for the Board of Selectmen?
I think,
If you should read it in advance if you want to attend the meeting.
how about if we post our final document right on the ARPA webpage, and Darlene can put a banner on the front page of the
It's a good idea.
town webpage that says ARPA committee recommendations available, click here. And then it'll bring them right to the report.
Yeah, because people will not be able to ask very good questions if they haven't read it. And when that stuff gets buried in the BOS folder.
Right,
eh,
but we're gonna be
no one ever
entertaining,
gets at that.
wait.
Yeah, right. I
Especially-
don't know how many questions from the public we'll
Like,
be
why would we
taking,
be taking those?
right? We want the questions to be from the Board of Selectmen so that they can make their decision. And I don't know what kinds of questions we would anticipate getting from the public that would make a difference other than, letting the public ask a question, which is not nothing. I'm a little concerned about that maybe getting very weedy and taking us off track and potentially influencing the Board of Selectmen's decision if the questions are all about things that are not in our report.
I don't know how you get
I think-
around that though. if
but I
it's a
think that
Public meeting.
Public can have comments, but if this isn't gonna be an open dialogue for them to read and dissect the way it would be for the selectmen to read and dissect,
Yeah, so how do we communicate the difference?
they get public comment. And that's where they
That's
get
it,
to talk.
in that section. Okay, and is that before or after the presentation
I
and
would think-
discussion with the Board of Selectmen?
I don't know.
With meetings, sometimes there's public comment at the beginning, at the end.
I've seen both, yeah.
It's been both.
I think you're gonna have to kind of like isolate the public comment from the presentation with the Board of Selectmen, because there can be a large potential to get distracted from, from the presentation, from your point and so forth, because it's just natural curiosity that people are gonna want to know, okay, well, you chose this nonprofit to give funds to, and you chose that amount, and then they're gonna have, well, why did you do that? And it's just can get off
So-
track very easily.
So maybe we do, the choreography is presentation, discussion, and potential action. And then.
Public comment. Mhm.
Yeah.
That works
That's
for
what
me.
I says, yeah.
Yeah, public comment should be at the end, I think.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then if there's a lot of public comment, it probably could be followed up, in some other way, if there's that much interest, I would think.
So who shall do the presentation of the report? Do we want to do any kind of planning about taking questions, or just let that come naturally? I mean,
Well, we could be sort of like a panel or whatever. If someone has a question, then someone, can offer their reply, right?
I'm just trying to think if there's gonna be any questions where we're gonna have to say, well, we don't have that information here, we have to get it and get back to it. I mean, there's no way to bring all of the information that we have to one meeting so that we can rapid fire answers.
we're pretty well equipped, though. We have a list of everything we did in the report.
Yeah.
Everything is in the Google Drive, and if we need to go in and check it, we can. So if somebody says, well, what did you actually hear from, picking one,
Mhm.
Housatonic
Mm,
Valley Regional High School, we can look back in the notes.
yeah.
I think we're pretty on top of it.
I think so too.
So presentation, do you want me to do it? 5 minutes?
I think I would prefer it if you did it as the chairperson, to be our spokesperson. But I do think that you can do it in the form of not necessarily a table of contents, but somewhere along that line. Say, this is our report, it's 5 pages, it's 10 pages, whatever it is.
Right,
It has these sections, within these sections is this information. We had full expectations that you've read this, you've had plenty of time to read it, et cetera, et cetera.
right. And now let's have questions.
Yeah, let's have discussion.
Is that okay?
That's good.
I wouldn't present the content so much as just outline what is in the report.
Yeah, and a little synopsis of each section, and
Mhm.
I
Okay,
think that's.
5 minutes.
5 minutes,
Okay.
5 minutes.
Then moving into Q&A, let's let the questions,
And
I
this-
guess, just happen. And if there are, certain people who are better able to answer the questions, if a question comes up on the, I forget what we called it, the what other towns are doing.
Scan,
That's
scan.
you.
Scan that we
Questions
don't
about
scan.
the regs, so on and so
I didn't
forth.
see what that final,
It was, whatever it was much better, but because
You still
of my
follow the
I
consultant,
think it was something tracking of area towns.
Yeah.
tracking surrounding towns,
Surrounding
ARPA
towns, yeah.
matters.
Or something with the focus groups, and Patricia would be able to.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we have a final document and we have that date and we publish this, I'll provide it to the town clerk, have it uploaded on the website. It
Great.
can be talked about in Jean's next newsletter, whenever that is.
Mhm. Okay. What else do we need to talk about tonight?
What are you gonna wear to the festival?
Well, I thought,
Let's color coordinate.
let's all wear,
Mhm.
So the 22nd,
is what I'm gonna ask
that's what I'm
for.
gonna ask for.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll confirm as soon as I
Okay.
know. Yeah. Well, this is great.
Wow,
Thank you guys. Lots of work. Feels good to be at this point.
did we do it? Did we get to the end?
We are not at the end yet, but we are very nearly at the
Is this our
end.
last meeting?
We are very, very nearly at the end. And just before I came into this building, I was on the phone with somebody from Middlebury and I told him what I was about to go do. And he said, well, you're very good to do that. And your town is very good to do this because in Middlebury, they did nothing. They just made a decision that they were going to build a building to store like fertilizer or something like that. And they just spent $2 million on that and it's over. There was no
Middlebury
Public.
has that many more people than Kent, huh?
no public comment, no
They're-
public
they're pretty
input,
good.
no people can,
Really?
doing any kinds of a need assessment. So I hope that this makes you
Some
all feel
other
good.
town, There's like
Yeah, it
a
does.
big brouhaha because they did that. They just sort of took it upon themselves to make a decision of what to do. And I think, is it Woodbury? It might be Woodbury.
Mhm.
Also,
Yeah.
took a very dictatorial approach.
Well, on the other hand too, it's like some towns, like, I think Woodbury, maybe Morris also, from what I had seen in the newspapers, they went to the other extreme and they had the selectmen, approved whatever their committee came up with. And then they took it to a town meeting to have the people of the town vote on that. So then there was that other step of having a town meeting
Right,
and
but they may
12
have,
people would show up.
right,
to
but they
approve
may
it.
have taken that money into their general fund to that provision, and that would require a town meeting, so I don't know what their process was.
Okay, so I am thinking that we are ready to adjourn. If that is okay with you all. We kept it very close to an hour. It's 5:32. And close the meeting.